You remember when you got her? You had hours and hours to just drive and dream. You spent your Saturdays fixing whatever needed fixing just to keep her running right. 20 years later, isn't it time you two got reacquainted? When you're ready, we're here. Because at LMC Truck, we know that while time may have passed, your passion for her never faded. Get her back on the road where she and you belong.
Now you're watching Gearz, brought to you by LMC Truck. Keep 'em on the road. And now, the Gladiator Search and Rescue Build, powered by Bestop.
Hey, welcome to Gearz and our Jeep Gladiator project. Now this is where we're taking a brand new Jeep Gladiator and turning it into a state-of-the-art search and rescue vehicle. Now, as you can see so far, we have completely transformed the front end of this thing by putting on a kit that kind of resembles the old 60s Gladiator trucks or Wagoneers, which is really cool. But what's not cool is those stock bumpers. Yeah, we got to do something about those. So, first thing we're going to do is get them off of there. And 8 nuts is all that holds the front bumper on. The new front bumper that we're going to be putting on comes from Fab 4s, and it's called the Matrix. And as you can see, this is made out of heavy-duty steel plate, so this is no sissy bumper like we just took off. Also, you can see the workmanship on this is great, and it's designed to where it'll flow right into the stock fender flare, so it's going to look really cool on that truck. Also, you've got places here for auxiliary lights. You have a place for an auxiliary light bar here, and then of course you've got the place for the winch down low. Now, I know you're probably looking at this going, man, that is a lot of bumper compared to what we just took off. But the installation is as simple as the original bumper. Only 8 bolts holds it in place. But before we bolt this thing on, we're going to fit our winch down inside here because it's impossible to do that once the bumper's on the truck. The winch that we're going to be using is Warren's VR Evo 10S, which is going to give us 10,000 pounds of pulling capacity, which is going to be great on that Gladiator. As you can see, you can mount the module on top of the winch or in a remote location. We also have the synthetic rope and the fair lead to go with it. Then we have the remote and the wireless option, which is really cool. And then we picked up a couple of epic shackles. Mounting the winch control module where it would be easily accessible required drilling some holes and cutting a small notch in the center of the bumper for the module to tuck into. Also, since we've changed the front end of the Jeep, we needed to grind some areas on the bumper to clear the lower fiberglass panel. However, it wasn't just the bumper that needed massaging. We also needed to cut a small relief in the outer edges of the fiberglass nose to clear the ends of the bumper. Okay, with a winch in place, now it's just a matter of bolting the bumper on.
Can we come your way just a scoop? There we go. And then...
Now that is definitely a change for the better. Now, the rear bumper's got the same issues going on that the front did. It's lightweight, it's not very functional. So we're gonna get rid of that too. The new rear bumper also comes from Fab 4s, and it features the same heavy-duty steel construction and workmanship that the front bumper had. And of course, you've got all the places for the factory trailer plugs and lights and sensors and all that good stuff. But there's more. It also comes with side protection and side steps. So this will allow you to step into the vehicle from the side, which is a great feature for this kind of rig. Also, installation is very simple, starting with those D-ring brackets. These bolt in the center of the vehicle to support the bumper. To support the side steps, Fab 4 supplies side brackets that bolt to the frame using existing holes. The next step is to bolt the sides and the center of the bumper together. Then we'll take the whole assembly and bolt it to the brackets. And just like the front bumper, you're going to need an extra set of hands here because this is a heavy-duty bumper. Finally, we'll finish it off by installing the cover plates in the side steps. So we've not only put on a much cooler bumper, it's much more functional with its heavy gauge steel and its D-ring hooks and these side steps that will allow you to step up into the bed from the side, which is going to be really good on a search and rescue rig and for what we have planned back here. You'll see. Hey, welcome back to Gearz. You know, one of the most popular projects for people to get into these days is what we call the Level 2 project. That is the mechanical and cosmetic restoration. Of course, a Level 1 is just get it running and driving like we did the Snowcat. A Level 3 is a resto mod like the catalog Camaro. A Level 4 is a frame off like the Stunt Double. And of course, a Level 5 is a full custom build like the V8 Interceptor or Sergeant Rock. But the Level 2 project, that's what most people are interested in doing. And a prime example of a Level 2 is this old Jeep Scrambler that has a solid body, decent paint, and a blown engine. So our plan for this project is to restore it where we need to, modify it where it needs it, so we have a modern, reliable daily driver. So the first thing we did was put together a new engine and drivetrain for it, utilizing original and aftermarket parts. Now we're going to turn our attention to the interior and see if we can bring that up to date. Now, as you can see, the original seats are in decent shape. The driver's side obviously is a little worse for wear, but not bad for an 86,000 mile vehicle. We also have the rare jump seats in the rear that honestly don't look like they've ever been sat in. However, the local rodents have been using them, and they've been eating these things from the bottom, so just putting seat covers is not going to help. We need to upgrade them. Now, a lot of you may not be familiar with a Scrambler with rear seats. Most of them were just with a single cab and a pickup bed. But the Scrambler came with the option of running back seats and a full soft top. And this truck has both, so we're going to keep it that way. We're going to set it up to run the seats in the full top or the little cab and no seats. Okay, the first thing to do is unbolt the original seats from the pedestals in front and from the floor in back. All right, this center bulkhead was designed to be used with the factory hardtop and provide a back to the passenger area and separate it from the cargo area. The problem is, if you're going to be carrying passengers, they got to have some way to get into the passenger area. So this has to come out. Fortunately, it's just held on with some perimeter screws, so we'll pull those out and we'll set this thing aside. Now, once everything is out of the way, it's the perfect time to clean things up and paint any parts that might need it. All right, the new seats that we're going to be putting in come from PRP, and as you can see, these look completely different than what we took out of there. That's because this is an off-road suspension seat designed to absorb impacts and keep from damaging your spine. Now, the way it does that, if you'll look at an original seat, you basically have a foam padding, and then inside that padding, there are metal springs that when you come down on an impact, you'll bottom out on those springs or the floor, you can compress your spine, and you can damage your discs. You Baja guys know what I'm talking about. The suspension seat has a foam pad that's removable. This keeps your buns happy. And then here in the bottom, you have this webbing that is suspended in a metal frame, thus the name suspension seat. And this absorbs impacts, keeps you from bottoming out on a hard object, so you don't compress your spine and damage your discs. If you're into hardcore off-roading or like to get airborne, this kind of seat is a must. The front bucket seats are the Enduro Elites, and they feature custom upholstery with pronounced side bolsters to hold you in place. They have an adjustable back, a headrest, and slots to run your harnesses through. For the rear seat, we went with a single bench seat, and PRP will do those in custom widths, so you can fit it between wheel wells or whatever. And of course, all the seats come with all the mounting brackets you're going to need to bolt them in. With the new brackets bolted to the original seat pedestals, now it's just a matter of bolting the seats in place. Wow, what a difference new front seats make. Now, the rear seat is a little bit different. It's not a direct bolt-in like the fronts. You just get a universal bracket. So it's up to you to fit the seat properly. So the first thing you want to do is decide where it's going to be front to rear. Make sure you're leaving enough leg room and enough cargo space for how you're going to use the vehicle. Then you need to set the height and the pitch of the seat, once again based on how you want to use it, which means you're probably going to jump in and out of here a few times getting the right setting. Now, once you have it how you want it, come in and make some measurements and then build your brackets. Using the supplied universal brackets as a base, we're going to go up 3 inches in the rear and 4 inches in the front with 1/8 inch angled steel. This will give us the height and the pitch that we're after, as well as the strength to support the passengers. Once you have it all dialed in, it's just a matter of bolting the rear seat to the floor. And that is a cool Scrambler. Except now, we actually have a functional rear seat, not something you usually saw in a Scrambler. And we still have the storage that makes a Scrambler famous. Hey, welcome back to Gearz and our Scrambler interior upgrade, where we basically pulled out the old tired seats and retired them and replaced them with modern suspension seats from PRP, both front and rear. Yeah. Now we're going to deal with an area that most off-road vehicles struggle with, and that is security. How do you keep people from ripping off your stuff when you have the doors off? Or you have the top peeled down like this? Or somebody wants to do a slash and grab on your soft top? Yeah, it's a problem. Fortunately, I got some solutions to show you. Take a look. Tuffy has been in the security box business for a long time, and they have all kinds of boxes, but they all share the same characteristics. Heavy metal construction, weather stripping to keep the dirt and the moisture out, and the most important thing is a heavy-duty lock to keep the scumbags from getting into your stuff. Now, the main box that we're going to be featuring on this Scrambler is this center box that also doubles as a console. As you can see, they stitched up a pad to match our seats, and then you've got all kinds of storage space inside. But you've also got cup holders that will mount front or rear. You have a trinket tray for change or keys or whatever. You have a universal mounting bracket. You even have the option to stick a stereo down in there if you want to do something like that. So obviously the first thing we need to do is get this centered between those seats. Now, I know a lot of you might be wondering, why didn't you put the console in first before you put the seats in? Seems like that would be easier. Well, the reason we don't do it that way is because the floor pans on a vehicle are very rarely symmetrical, which means the hump is not always in the center. Also, the seat pedestals usually aren't symmetrical. So the only way to put something squarely between the seats is to have them in place. Now, once you have the console between the seats, then you adjust it forward and back how you want it, and you need to adjust the height so it sits level. A block of wood is a great way to do that. Then you can take those measurements and build a mounting bracket if the universal bracket doesn't fit what you're doing. We're going to build our bracket out of 1/8 inch thick flat stock for strength. Now it's just a matter of bolting the box to the bracket, putting it all together. Some other boxes that Tuffy makes for Jeep vehicles are these glove box inserts. As you can see, they feature the same heavy-duty locks and all-metal construction that their other boxes have, and they are designed to slide right in place of your stock glove box, because not all thieves are human. Some are the little crawly, furry kind, and they sometimes can do more damage than their human counterparts. So if you've got a vehicle that's easy to get into, whether it's a Jeep or a truck or an ATV or a boat or whatever, the best way to keep things safe and secure is with a lockbox. Now, what about these original wheels and tires? After 40 years, I think it's time for an upgrade. Come on. Now, as you can see, the original wheels and tires are really narrow. They don't even fill out the original fender flares. It's almost like Jeep intended people to put bigger tires on these things. Now, since this vehicle is going to be a daily driver, we're not going to put a lift on it because it already has a nice stance. But we are going to put bigger tires on it, just like Jeep intended. Check it out. So for tires, we're going to jump up to these Mickey Thompson Baja ATZ P3s. That's going to give us a great all-around on-road, off-road tire. And the size we're using is 32 1150 by 15. This is going to give us a little more height and considerably more width. Now for wheels, we're going to use the Mickey Thompson Classic 3s in a 15 by 10 inch size, once again, to give us the width that we're after. And of course, the polished aluminum center is just a classic truck look that just never goes out of style. The best part is when we bolt these wheels and tires on, they're going to fill out the wheel wells and completely change the look and attitude of this old Scrambler. Once again, proving that a wheel and tire swap is one of the best bangs for the buck.
And now, Parts Bin.
You know, one of the biggest questions that we get is, what is the best metal treatment to prevent rust? That's a great question, because most paint will cover rust and appear to stop it for a while, but that's only temporary. If you want to permanently stop rust, you have to think beyond the typical paint. KBS Coatings does just that with this stuff that they call Rust Seal. Developed by KBS chemists with decades of military and extreme coating experience, this is a paint that will not only stop rust in its tracks, but also seal the metal from air and moisture to eliminate further corrosion permanently. And there's no recoating. One time is all it takes. Of course, everybody knows that a paint job is only as good as your prep work, and KBS helps you out there too, because they have complete kits for whatever part of the vehicle you're working on. For example, this is a frame coater kit, and it comes with the cleaner, which will get rid of all the grease and grime that's in the way. Then you have this Rust Blast. This is a pre-paint primer that preps the metal and aids in adhesion. Then you have your Rust Seal coating, and it's available in several different colors. And they even have this cavity coater, which allows you to spray it down into areas like the frame rails or rockers, and it'll creep in and keep rust from happening there. They even include the stir stick, the paintbrush, and the gloves. Now those gloves are pretty important, because if you get this stuff on your hands, only time is going to take it off. Dang it. The best part is, Rust Seal was designed to have great flow characteristics, meaning that you can put it on with a brush and it will smooth out and dry like something shot out of a can or a gun, making it the perfect coating to seal a floor or frame of an old vehicle. You know, rust prevention is a serious deal. If you don't get it taken care of, it'll keep coming back and coming back until there's nothing to come back to. KBS Coatings can take care of that problem permanently.
What are you working on? Brought to you by Woodward Fabrication, selling quality metalworking equipment since 1966.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Chris Fernie, and he is from Oregon, and his project is a 1954 Willys wagon. You know I love those things. And he said that he calls it Eugene the Jeep because him and his dad have been working on these things since the 50s, and they just love them. Now, here's what he did. He picked up a mildly rolled 94 Bronco that had a new engine, a new transmission, a 4-inch lift, and virtually new 35-inch tall wheels and tires. Then, he said he redid the Jeep floors and rockers, he cleaned up the Bronco chassis, he relocated a few things like the fuel tank, and then he said the body dropped right down in place. Yeah, right, Chris, look at this guy. You think he's pulling our leg on that one? Actually, the Bronco is a good fit for those old wagons. Now, he said he plans on keeping this thing looking stock, but he is going to keep some of the modern niceties of the Bronco, like the analog brakes and the driver airbag and that kind of stuff. But he's going to drive this thing. Chris, such a cool project, man. To recognize that, we hooked up with our buddies at Woodward Fab, and we're going to give you one of these big shears because you're doing sheet metal work. You need one of these things. Also, since you're obviously a gearhead, we're going to give you one of our new Gearz t-shirts, and then we're going to give you one of our project planning books so you can keep track of everything that you've done on that old Willys. Then we're going to give you a gift card from LMC Truck because they carry all kinds of stuff, believe me, that you're going to need on that old Willys. Then we're going to set you up with one of our little tow trucks so you can tow that Willys around when it's not running. Now, for the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this, get your project featured on the show, go to the website, go to Gearz Nation, and submit it into What Are You Working On. The website's also the place to find out more information on any products you may have seen on the show, any Gearz merchandise, and how to join Gearz Nation so you can stream any of our episodes commercial-free. Also, don't forget to check us out on Amazon Prime, where you can watch past and current seasons of Gearz and check out our new show, Stacey David's Restoration Series. Now, this series is designed to help you stay on track and navigate the challenges so you can complete the project successfully and keep your sanity. Finally, don't forget to like us on Facebook and Instagram so you can get some behind-the-scenes footage of our weekly web series, Shifting Gears. And if you're a radio person, make sure you check out our new podcast, Tales of a Gearhead. All right, that's all we have time for today. I have a new project sitting out there in the back. You need to go find yourself a project so you can start working on something. We'll see you next time.